Welcome back to the podcast. Today I'm joined by Zara. Zara, how are you?
Good. Jordan, how are you?
Good. We're in the Grey Space office this week.
Yes.
How does it feel? Bit of a
Good.
sea change?
Bit of a sea change for me. Bit of a change of podcast environment.
Yeah. I prefer
good.
the Melbourne office, just saying,
Yeah, why?
because I'm here every day. And I walk outside and can you just look at this quickly? So it's good for me anyway, selfishly, It's good to get away.
Yeah, I get it. That's nice.
What's been going on?
What's been going on? We have been pretty busy, actually. We're kind of in a space where we're reevaluating the services that we're offering
Cool.
and just kind of really honing in. So it's been about 9 months now of Inflection.
Yep.
And so we're just sort of honing in on 9 months, maybe 10 months, almost a year.
Yeah, almost a year.
Almost a year. And so obviously we've used that as like a testing ground or a beta ground of like, cool, what do we want to offer? What are people wanting more of? And I think through the discovery calls and conversations with businesses, we are really shifting in a direction that is a little bit further away from where we started, which is kind of really exciting. I think it's kind of shifting in a direction where we actually are becoming more valuable to business owners, and we're creating services and offering them solutions that are actually going to be much more, like alleviating of certain pain points in their business.
Yeah, cool. Do you want to reveal a little bit or?
Yeah, sure. So like CRM development, I think is a massive one.
Yep.
It seems to be really something that people are really interested in, particularly for businesses that have been around for a little while that maybe is shifting from one generation to another. Maybe it is, just something that's been around for a little while and the previous kind of record keeping system, is ready to be digitalized. And so it's kind of a conversation that we're having a lot more of. And it means that we can expand our team a little bit and we can expand our service offering, which is really fun. But then kind of shifting, I guess, away from certain paid ad services, which is where we started. That was our focus, in particular like meta ads, which I'm not upset about. I think I'd prefer to move away from meta ads and into the CRM development space. So yeah, it's just been an interesting couple of months as we've sort of been figuring that out and doing that research.
Yeah. It's interesting. We're going to talk about that in an episode coming up where we talk about pivoting and in business. So it's so true. It happens all the time.
Totally.
I think it's really important just on that note as a business owner that if you are doing something, and it's not to say that Facebook ads weren't working, but if it was, I don't know, a service line, right? And if it's like, okay, cool, maybe it's not profitable. You need to be able to make that call to pivot and switch.
Yeah.
Try something else. Because a lot of the times people take 6 months to make a decision and it should have taken you a week. And if you did do that, then you've lost all that time. Yeah,
and I think it's just like the direct feedback that we're getting from business owners is this is the conversation that we're having more of, less of a focus on, like I said, meta ads. And so it's like, why would we continue to push forward with a service that isn't in demand?
Yeah. Do you find that people are doing it more themselves now, or?
I think so. I think there's a lot of education out there. I think there is a lot more of people doing it themselves. There's a lot more freelancers out there that are obviously cheaper, that still have really great service and like quality of work. I also think there's maybe just a shift into other platforms and other services that might be more profitable straight away, or maybe not necessarily profitable in terms of bringing in revenue, but profitable in terms of allowing the business owner to shift their focus from something that is super admin heavy, that doesn't need to be a focus for them, into something that then, whether it's sales, whether it's their own marketing, whether it's like product development and manufacturing, or just improving their services and their sales script and those kinds of things, it allows them to move into an area where they can make more revenue for the business.
For sure. It's sort of, it ties in perfectly to what we're talking about today, which is, we call them a Techspert session.
Yeah.
It's essentially a drop-in. Do you want to give a 30-second rundown of what a Techspert session is?
Yeah.
And where we hold them?
Yeah. So Techspert session is kind of a combination of two words, technical expert.
Wow.
Wow.
Groundbreaking.
Well, I feel like it's worth that mini explanation.
Agreed.
But essentially it is an opportunity for you to connect with somebody, a domain expert who can support you in problem solving a particular area of business. So to dive into that a little bit more, it could be maybe you're building out a CRM internally and you're getting stuck with your workflow or your SOPs or your processes or whatever that kind of looks like. It gives you someone that has built out CRMs, that has built out workflows and processes that can help you troubleshoot that particular area. Maybe you do run Facebook ads internally and you've got someone in your team that's managing it. It means that you can kind of drop into a Techspert session with a Facebook ads or a meta ads specialist, share your screen, and they can talk you through what's working, what's not working, and how to improve it and see more revenue on that particular channel. So really valuable. We host it in our accelerator community. And it's part of the bigger picture of our coaching program.
Yep. And what we are going to start doing is once a month, we've discussed that we're going to start doing it in our free community. So if you did want to join the free community, there'll be a link in the show notes in your podcast player. So jump in. It's free to join. Drop us a line or two about what you do. And there's heaps of people in there. I think we're almost at 200 in the free community.
Yeah.
And we are going to run those Techspert sessions once a month in there. And I'm sure we'll rotate between Zara and myself. So whether it's accounting, strategy, marketing, HR, if you've got those burning questions, you can drop in. And sometimes it's that 5-minute question that you're not sure and it just solves your problem. And that's why we started doing it as part of the community. Me personally, I find that if I've got something that I'm working on and it's like, oh, I just need to ask someone, it'll take 2 seconds and it'll be solved. I'll give you an example. So I hosted our Techspert session in the accelerators for the paid community on, I think it was Monday. It was Monday. And someone brought up the fact that they were unsure if the accounting treatment, boring accounting treatment, but anyway, I'll press on. So there was a question about a certain tax treatment of dividends, and the person said, "Oh, I believe that the accountant's wrong and that the accelerator was correct." And I agreed with them, and I stepped them through why they're right. And it's that 2-minute explanation of why they were right that they can then go back and fix what would have been a 5% difference in tax payable. It's things like that. It's things like, well, sometimes people will come to us and be like, look, I want to grow revenue in your marketing sessions, but I don't know how to. If they've got Facebook ads, screen share. If it's an organic method that they want to approach, then they'll jump on the Techspert session with Petra. So they're super valuable.
Yeah.
Having access to a domain expert once a week in the paid community, once a month in the free community, I think it's huge.
Yeah. And I think also noting that it's available and really useful for anyone that is like obviously a business owner, but also if you're a freelancer and maybe you've started this journey and you're navigating business structure, you're navigating your first tax or your BAS statement or whatever it might be. Maybe you've got a couple of clients and you're not quite sure how to scale and drive more leads into your business. Essentially anyone really that's needing expert, you don't have to be like a person that has 10 team members underneath you. It can be anyone that's needing expert guidance or advice. It's a really valuable opportunity.
Yeah, I agree. The thing that inspired us to do it was, as professionals, sometimes we take, not advantage, that's the wrong word, we take for granted our network that we have. Like for yourself, I can ring you and say, hey, Zara, I'm thinking of doing this email marketing thing. What do you reckon? Or Owen, if I want to bounce any idea, because he just seems to have the answer to everything. And like we can bounce those ideas off each other. And I always use the example of going to the pub on Friday with my two mates who both run businesses. And like we pick each other's brain, but some people don't have that. Like we'll check in, how was work this week? What did you get up to? Oh, this happened, that happened. And I think we take it for granted because I see in our community, like it's those chats that we have on Friday at the pub that we're having in the community.
Yeah.
If it's a HR issue, like that's what we're talking about. So it's not your standard pub chat, to be fair.
Absolutely. I mean, I went to a hairdresser on Monday or Tuesday, one day this week, can't remember. And I was talking to her about what we do and she was like, oh, wow, that sounds awesome, because she runs her own salon and it's just her, and she's only just kind of started the salon as herself. She did have, it was like a smaller space she was renting. She's expanded the space. And so she's got more seats, she's got more chairs and kind of figuring it out. And she was just like, oh, I'm feeling a bit lost and alone right now because I just don't know. And they were the words she used. She was like, it can kind of be really isolating because I don't really know who to talk to about this stuff. And I was like, that's exactly what we do. That's exactly why this exists.
It's so true.
And it doesn't matter what sort of business you're in. You don't have to be in corporate or service-based. Like it can literally be anything. It's so valuable. Yeah,
I agree. Initially, when we started the accelerator program, it was just a Q&A. And we found that sometimes it was not bland, but we would
not as engaging.
Yeah, exactly. That's the word. Not as engaging. Whereas now we have set days where we'll talk about accounting, set days when we talk about marketing, finance, strategy, operations, HR, all of those things where you can drop in and ask your questions. And look, of course, if it's one week where it's accounting, if you have a question about marketing, you can still ask it.
Yeah, of course.
If Zara's there, not me. But that's how we've really refined it. And looking at the ones that I've done this year, so much better in terms of engagement. what all of our clients are getting from it as well, I just think it's so much better.
Yep, absolutely. So I guess it's probably important to think about and talk about the structure of the sessions and how people can access them. Obviously, as you said, there is the paid community version, which means you get access to these weekly. But we do have the free community, which you get access to once a month. And they are just starting up. We're starting in March. So we haven't done one yet. But if you are interested, there will be a link in the show notes of how you can join. Essentially, what you get out of it is, George, you and I will be there for the first one. I think Daniel said he's going to come along as well. And
we'll force Owen.
We'll force Owen to be there. But essentially, it just kind of opens the floor to you guys to just ask us anything. Essentially, you get access to 4 different brains with 4 different kind of skill sets that we're coming together and growing a business, and we're kind of supporting one another's business. So it's kind of what we're there for. Any kind of technical challenges that you might be facing, it could just be like a common, just something that you might be struggling with in business and you just want a round table of solution. And then over time, we're also going to be introducing success stories and business owners that have done it, so you can learn from other people as well.
For sure. And even if you're not going to come along to the Techspert session, just drop any questions in that free community, because it's actually getting pretty active now. I logged on this morning and I saw someone posted something. It was like 7 or 8 comments, not from us, but from other members in the community.
Yeah.
Well, Daniel commented on it, but five other comments from people in the community. So drop your questions in there, and it's good to see people helping other people.
Yeah, that's kind of why it exists. Obviously, we spoke about like that loneliness and that isolating feeling of running a business. It's different sometimes if you do have business partners, but if you are doing it on your own, which most businesses are doing it on their own to start off with, it just gives you that network. And it could be someone, you know, maybe you are a hairdresser and you connect with other hairdressers. Maybe you're a tradie and you're connecting with other tradies, but also maybe you're a hairdresser and you're connecting with a tradie because, yes, the execution of the problem might be different, but the actual problem or the principle of the problem that you're trying to solve is quite similar. And so you can kind of cross-share information with one another. And I think the other valuable thing is, and potentially something that we have between the 4 of us, is like different approaches to things. Like we come at things with different perspectives because of our backgrounds, because of like the knowledge that we've gained in our own space. So then when we come at a problem, there's a few different ways of solving it. And we kind of point out things that, you know, you would point out something that I wouldn't have noticed. Daniel points out something that you and I wouldn't have noticed. So it's just this, I think it's super valuable.
I agree.
That kind of gets undervalued, or like you don't think about.
It's true. You don't. You don't. And I think that example that you've used where it's the hairdresser and the tradesperson or whoever it is, it just goes to show you the power of community.
Yeah.
And like being able to come together and get expert advice. I think it's better than just Googling. And like, yes, there's heaps out there if you want to Google things, but I think you'd get a much better result if you could jump on a call, share your screen, and you, Zara, can run through their Facebook ads with them. Like there's no Google. Yes, there's YouTube and all that stuff for sure, but like you're getting live feedback.
Yep.
And it's the same for, I did one where there was accounting, we're talking about accounting structures. Like I was doing it live on the call, drawing them out. How the trust works, how the company works, how the bucket company works, holdings company, like all of that stuff. It's all stuff that we do in the program and in the free program too.
Yeah. And I think the one thing with accounting and finance in general with business is like, you don't know what you don't know, so you don't actually know what questions to ask.
Yeah,
and so yes, you might have an accountant and they might do your tax return for you, but you know, if you've been in business for 12 months, you don't know what you're missing out on, what you could be benefiting from. If your business structure is the right business structure, yes, maybe you're a sole trader. Are you better off shifting into a company and setting up a trust? Who knows? But you actually might not even know to ask those questions because you don't know what the threshold should be.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of an opportunity for you to just be like, hey, I've been here in this business for 12 months. This is what my structure currently is. Is that right?
Yeah. And look, sometimes it is.
Yeah.
But it's good to get a second opinion. And even like the strategy stuff we talk about, marketing, even operations, like, we're in there and we're going to give you our opinion. But I think one of the big things is like that collective learning where we get people from the community. Like there's some businesses in there that have 20, 30, 40 staff.
Yeah.
They're going to give their input too. Oh, hey, look, tried that. Didn't work. Maybe give this a go. Like that's so valuable.
Yeah.
So important to be able to lean on people that have already been there and done that.
Yeah. And we've got other like business owners in the community that are also a part of other coaching programs, or they do external learning. And then they can bring that into the community and share it with other people.
Exactly.
You know, we've got an allied health professional in our community that is also in an allied health professional community, and what he can contribute and support and mentor other allied health professionals. It's just that, like you said, collective learning, I think that's massive.
Yeah. And the sessions really complement the core topics that we preach in the paid community. So I'll use the example of the strategy sessions that I do in the community, where I run through all of these tools and exercises and how you can do these things. But that's it, right? The good thing is with the Techspert sessions is you can go away, do the exercises, and then we can workshop them together. But not just with me and that one person, but if there's 15 people on the call, it's like, oh, well, have you thought of this? Have you thought of that? I've tried this. I've been in your shoes before. It actually doesn't work, or it takes too long. Like, that stuff is so invaluable. If that can save you 5 months of trial and error, and you get that same result in a week, that is priceless. Yeah, it's just priceless.
The ability to learn it from other people's mistakes or other people's journeys that have maybe gone down a path. It's worked for them to a degree, and then they've realized it's not the right path, and then they've kind of done that shift.
Yep.
You can learn from that. But so without kind of having the ability, you know, like you said, in the free community, it's like 200 business owners. So you essentially have the ability to network with 200 or 199 other businesses that have maybe done something that you have done. Maybe they're in the same field as you. And I think if you're kind of in the space of like, oh, I don't want to share my ideas with competitors, I think, you know, you just need to kind of scrap that idea, because I think you learn better from other people.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what we're here for.
Yeah.
And you know, again, I guess going into an episode that we're going to talk about a little bit later, but like mindset and abundance mindset is like, there is enough out there for everybody, and you probably have a very core point of difference and a different like value proposition, which even though, yes, objectively you might offer the same service, here's a plumber A and plumber B, but your service area might be different, or your core service offering might be different, or the types of people that you service might be different. Maybe you focus more on B2B and commercial rather than residential. And if you can learn something from plumber B that improves your business, and they can learn something that improves their business, I think it just brings together and creates this really collective community that's ultimately what we're all here for, is bettering one another's business and making one another's business as good as it possibly can be.
Yeah, it's so true. And I think the biggest thing on that example with the two plumbers is like, well, I'll give an example. In the community, there were two people that I saw in the exact same industry, and they exchange numbers, and now I'm sure they go back and forth. So it's just, again, having someone to talk to.
Absolutely. There's two people in the community that I've spoken to as well, both in recruitment, actually. There you go. Is that who you were talking about?
No, I was talking about someone else.
There
you go. There's two.
Well, yeah, they're both in recruitment, and when I was speaking to one of them, they were saying that they'd connected with this other person, and they'd actually opened up an entirely different kind of revenue stream and clientele by working together. Crazy.
Yeah. And that's the big thing. Costs you nothing. It's all free in the free community to connect with these people, and you can message them. You can inbox them, if that's the right word, or private message.
Yep.
If you don't want to post in the community, because there are a few people there. But I think the biggest insight that I've had from running the sessions is when people come prepared with questions, they get a lot more out of it.
Yep.
As opposed to just rocking up for the sake of rocking up and then just sort of sitting in the background. Like that's fine if you want to like absorb some information, but I think to get the most value, we want to be prepared, have some pre-prepared questions, and be prepared to share your screen and be comfortable doing it too, of course.
Yeah. I think also, like, if you're going to learn from people, it's only respectful for people to be able to learn from you. So I think if you're sitting there with your screen off and on mute and not contributing, then you're only taking rather than giving. And I think to be part of a community and part of a partnership, you need to provide and share and give as well as take. And it also means that what you are taking is probably going to be better insights anyway, because you're sharing your experience. So I totally agree. I think in order for you to get the most out of it, you have to actively engage.
For sure. What do you think the biggest trend? I know we've gone from Q&As to these Techspert sessions, but what do you think has been the biggest transformation you've seen in like the quality of questions being asked?
That's interesting. That's a good question. I think there's been a change in business owners and demographics of business owners that have come in recently. I think there's been an increase in a younger generation of business owners coming into the community, which I think is really inspiring. It's awesome to see young people that are eager to run businesses, that have the motivation, that have that dedication, and also have the willingness to give back and contribute. And I think that's changing the types of conversations that we're seeing as well. You know, like we've got a 23-year-old that is buying a bakery in Darwin, and she's phenomenal.
Yeah.
And what she contributes, and just hearing her talk and hearing her passion is inspiring for me as a business owner that's kind of been in it for a little while. So I think that's maybe what's been the most transformational. What about you?
Yeah, I agree. And I think the thing that has surprised me the most is how much people get out of it. Like I did again on Monday, just because it's so fresh in my mind, I did a session and like 2 people inboxed me personally. Like that was huge. And like we spoke for maybe a minute.
Wow.
And it's just quick answer. This is what you need to do. Done. And like we think about it, it's like, okay, cool. Anyone else have any more questions? Like you've solved that person's problems for the week in a minute. And it's just having someone to ask. That's all it is. So I think it's so big. It's so important. Community, having a network. When sometimes you do feel like there's no one to talk to. Owen's said it before, like we talk to our partners about this stuff, but if they're not business owners, you know, love them, but they haven't been there. So I think community is good because you can ask other business owners.
Yeah, I agree.
Super important. So if you did want to join our free community, link in the show notes. We're launching on what have we locked in a date?
It's late March.
Late March.
Yeah.
Cool.
So you've still got time.
Yeah. Jump into the free community. We want to keep doing these sessions too. And maybe, you know what, we can even put a vote out.
What people want.
Yeah, what people want, the best day, time that suits, and get some feedback from everyone. So I'd encourage everyone to join the free community. Drop us a line in there, introduce yourself. There's quite a few of us in there, so don't be afraid. And we all hover over that free community too. Drop in, you'll get the notification when we do lock in the time and the day for the Techspert session. Come prepared, ask all your questions, and I'm sure you get heaps of value out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And once you have joined, we will, when we've locked in that date for the Q&A, we will announce it in the community. We'll also send out some emails, so you won't miss it.
Perfect. Awesome. Good stuff. We'll hope to see everyone in there.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Jordan.
Thanks, Zara.
Thanks for watching this video on the Rask Network. While you're here, don't forget to like and subscribe so you can get videos each and every day on business, finance, investing, and so much more.